Hey everybody, Chris with the Pub Trivia Experience. This episode was intended to be a Patreon exclusive episode, but as I was editing it, it's just too damn funny not to put on the main feed. So this is going to come here as this week's episode, but we've got bonus content dropping this week on Patreon. If you want to support the show and you want content like this, patreon.com/PTEBB is the best place to do that or to get that. And all that money goes back into making the shows better, getting us a full-time editor, which we are oh so close to doing. If you want to support the show, head onto that website. It'll get you on there. But you heard enough from me. Let's get right into it.
It's a shit idea. Why would you like it?
Because
it sounds like
from
fun.
you.
80% of my ideas are shit. You just don't hear those 80%.
Well, the 20% that you voice are great.
I was gonna say, I still like it.
Well, good. We're recording, so you caught that gold.
That's right.
Well, welcome everyone to the Pub Trivia Experience. My name.
Oh, we're just jumping right into this. Okay.
Cold fucking open.
That's 100% what this is. Welcome to the show. My name is Chris. We already went over this. We have got a fun little game for you here tonight. We are going to play a round of closest to the pin challenge. This entire game is closest to the pin. And let's go ahead. Let's meet our three contestants. First up, Huntsville, Alabama. Mike Mott, my friend. How you doing? What are you drinking?
Chris, I'm doing great. I'm super happy to be here with y'all. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Liar.
No, that is not true. I'm not lying. I'm just constantly glancing over my shoulder, waiting for my 5-year-old to come in again and tell me I'm being too loud again. Long-term listeners of the Pub Trivia Experience and related shows know that me being interrupted by my children is not unusual. I'm doing very well, though. Although I will say that indirectly, thanks to one of the other participants on this podcast, I now know what a blumpkin is. So
That's not my fault.
Brittany, it is not directly your fault. That's why I said indirectly.
There is nothing worse than a secondhand blumpkin. Let me tell you from experience.
That's how this. There you go.
What it is, because
There you go.
Just our listeners know this is what the last 20 minutes has been like.
Yeah, that's how this show is going to go, y'all. But hey, we come prepared, or I came prepared at least, from the the Straits Ale Brewery right here in Huntsville, Alabama. This is the Orangutan. It is a dry hopped hazy sour ale. I'm not usually a sour person. I've never had this before, but I love me some Straits Ale brews. So let's see how this is. And that is actually pretty good. It's more or less orange juice with a little bit of maybe just a little bit of hint of grapefruit.
You already made the sale. Send it over. Let's go.
This is perfect for the weather warming up as it is. So
we're gonna head on up to the Chicagoland area. Brittany Shaw, my friend, how you doing? What are you drinking?
Oh, Chris, I am doing all the better for being here with these wonderful people. So thank you for putting this together. As for what I am drinking, it's a lesser known distillery product. I don't know if people have heard it. It's a little underground, but it's a Siesta Key toasted coconut rum out of Sarasota, Florida. Not a sponsor, could be.
Should be.
And it turns out if you live near Jay and you go over to her house and she's trying to, offload some rum, sometimes she just hands it to you. So kind of sounds like this. Kind of sounds like that. And it is delightful. But
straight from the bottle.
Jeez.
I mean,
taking one right from Jay's playbook.
Yeah, anyway, I love that totally original bit that I came up with and has never been used before. But I'm doing great, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Next up, heading on over to the hardest working woman in trivia, Jay Borson, my friend. How you doing? What are you drinking?
Do I even need to be here at this point? Because you already have a Chicagoland woman in the trivia scene who drinks Siesta Key spiced rum out of Sarasota, Florida, not a sponsor. Could be directly out of the bottle. Like, I'm redundant and I don't know how I feel about that.
Distinctly, this is not spiced. Because you gave me the toasted coconut.
I can't change those words in my head. They are lockstepped, and they're just one. They're not even like
Well,
words. They're not a sentence. They are just a singular thought. Siesta Key Spice Rum out of Sarasota, Florida. Not a sponsor. Could be. Which, by the way,
rolls right off the tongue.
And is what I'm drinking. Sounds a little like this when you've had it for a while.
Ooh, love
that
that.
sounded really nice.
That little
Tastes a hell of a lot like this, y'all.
1,000, 2.
Oh, look at her jug. Oh my God.
1,000, 5, 1,000.
I'm not going to lie. The toasted coconut rum is actually really good. And I don't normally like coconut rum.
There you go.
That's okay.
Oh my God.
That was like the Midwest 7 of chugs right there.
Wait, you call me a Midwest 7?
Everything I mostly like is a Midwest 7.
Oh, okay. Aw, you mostly like me.
I mean, I'm
Mostly.
either a Florida 2 or a Florida 9, depending on what part of Florida you're in. So
I think as long as you're not at like
Is-
whatever that other one is, because you're Florida State, right?
yes.
So as long as you're not over like near Gator Country, I think you're a Florida 9.
Well,
He's
this,
a Florida 9. He lives just south of Pasco County. Trust me, he's a Florida 9.
this is
I was going to make some kind of rip about Floribama, and then I remembered who's on this episode, and maybe I should shut the hell up.
neither one of us enjoy living here. We're not here because we want to be.
Look, Chicago is only 1,000 miles away, and
I know,
1,000
but
miles seems pretty far.
I refuse.
I've got planes and trains and fucking cars, gentlemen.
Jay, I am never shoveling snow again.
And yeah, it's my aversion to snow that keeps me this far south.
Well, good news, climate change. So that's gone in about a year.
Silver linings?
Playbook.
Yeah.
My turn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brittany mentioned it. That school to the south, which is actually to the north from the south in Tallahassee. This is from the only good thing to come out of Gainesville, Florida, other than no, I don't like them either.
Tom Petty?
I don't like Tom Petty.
That is such a heartbreaking comment.
Well, I don't care. This is
Hold
from
on, I have to Google people now to make a point. Continue.
the only good thing to come out of Gainesville, Florida, from Bold City Brewing. This is their Killer Whale Cream Ale. So, cheers, y'all.
Okay, while Chris is drinking, I do need to point out that fuck you, Chris, because Against Me comes from Gainesville, Florida, which is the best rock act of all time with a trans singer. So that's a hate crime mostly. But also, you've got Less Than Jake and Sister Hazel, and at least one of those bands is good.
Also, Maya Rudolph is from Gainesville, Florida.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I didn't even get to people. I just got to bands.
So
Hold on.
Chris is like, please, let's.
First off, while you were yelling at me, I drank my entire beer.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
gone.
Oh, like that's a challenge?
That was kind of impressive.
If you were on any podcast in the world with any other guest in the world, sure.
That's true. Less Than Jake I saw in concert at the Warped Tour in 2002, and I walked away from the show. Yeah, they do not impress me much.
I'm definitely more of a fan of Equal to Jake.
Yeah.
Well, as long as they're better than Ezra, we're okay.
That's right.
Mhm.
I really did want to see the Less Than Jake Better Than Ezra bill, and their openers would be a band called Jake and Ezra.
that would
Or
be
Jake
perfect.
equals Ezra.
Yeah, it's a very Garfunkel and Oates reference, but I'm here for it.
I love it. I love it.
Both the Phoenixes are from Gainesville, River and Joaquin.
And Rain, their sister.
And Leaf?
I'm assuming.
Yeah, but Rain doesn't show up on Wikipedia, which says everything you need to know about Rain.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, isn't Rain now Joaquin?
No, Leaf is
Leaf
now
is
one.
Joaquin.
Yep.
Who did
And
win?
Lochte, so fair enough. Let's see who else we have. Emmett Smith, Chris.
He was a cowboy, so yeah, fuck him.
Second greatest running back of all time.
Who's the first?
Oh, you have hurt my feelings, Brittany. Walter goddamn Payton. Sweetness.
No.
This is no longer pub trivia experience. This is now tell me why I'm wrong about Walter goddamn Payton.
There's no trivia
What's in
going on
the Super Bowl
whatsoever.
Shuffle video?
Emmett Smith is not the second greatest running back of all time. I'm not sure he's in the top 5.
No, I
Really?
would agree with
I
that.
would put him in a trio with Peyton and Barry Sanders.
Yeah, well, Barry Sanders is the best running back of all time.
Barry's number 1. Agree.
We'll argue that point, but top 3 for
I'll
sure.
give you Walter Payton's up there. Recency bias, maybe. The peak Lithanian Tomlinson is the best, one of the best run backs I've ever seen.
What about All Day? AP?
I had him in my Dynasty League, and he broke my heart more than you'd like.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
But when he hit, he hit.
That's it. Yeah.
I got him in a late draft pickup because he was just coming off the I'm not in the league anymore.
Oh, that's right.
And we thought the wheels were off, and then they weren't, and then they were.
Okay, so here's how tonight's game's going to go.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I thought we were in draft days there for a moment.
20 minutes later. Yep.
So we have got 6 categories. It's a race to close out the category.
Okay.
All right. So you're only going to get one winner per category. So when you get the question, you're going to give me a number, and the closest to the pin gets the point and gets to pick the next category.
Cool.
All right.
So this is like Trivial Pursuit, but with math.
Yes. Well,
But with the worst kind of math, the math that's just numbers and no math.
And guessing. Yeah,
Yes.
and no actual math. Yeah.
I have a format for trivia called Guesstimate, and even I don't like this idea.
Don't hold back.
I ask that there be no years because that just gives Mike the point.
well, one of the clues is time traveler, so probably going to be some years in here. So your categories are going to be world records, money, what year was that, time traveler, nature, and no way or random. So Jay, you have been on by far the fewest amount of episodes, and that is sad to me. I'm going to let you pick first. Which category do you want to go with?
Look, you haven't asked me to be on in like 2 years. The last time I was on this show, it was a drunk Easter with Brittany, and it was one of your best recordings. I might be biased.
No, it legitimately is one of the best recordings. It was also like 2.5 hours long.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna break that record tonight. Yeah, and speaking of records, since I'm attempting my dumbass to break a world record for the longest quiz master marathon of all time, let's start with world records.
What was the 6th category again?
It's random, called No Way. World records, here is your question. Ty Domi holds the NHL record for most fights. How many fights did he have during his 16-year NHL career?
Locked in.
I will lock in.
All right, I think I can lock.
All right. Brittany, you locked in first. What did you go with?
672.
Mike.
I said 1,280 for reasons that I thought I did some math in my head, and now I've forgotten what it was. But anyway.
That's damn near won a game.
That's what I was going for, so good.
Jay.
Yeah, I ran the math very quickly and got to an estimate of about 1,200 games in his career, so I figured he fought in like a quarter of them, so I said about 350.
Jay picking up the points, 338 fights.
Nicely done.
Fuck, did not expect that meme to be right.
Jay is crossed off world records. Jay, where are we going next?
Let's go to time travel.
Going to time travel. How many words are there in Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address?
I'm locked in.
I'll lock in.
I will lock in.
All right, Jay, what'd you go with?
I actually weirdly used to know this number, but I don't know it off the top of my head, and you can probably blame a 12-second pull of Siesta Key for that. But I think it's somewhere in the ballpark of 180.
Brittany.
I also feel like I used to know this, or at least I've heard it before, but I thought it was lower than that, so I said 126.
Mike.
Similar ballpark. I went slightly higher. I said 216.
272 is what we're looking for. Mike, you're going to pick up the points.
Well done there, Mike.
Rock and roll.
Mike, where do you want to go?
Well, I was absolutely listening as you were reading off all the categories. So I know what they are other than the ones that have already been done.
So
I did hear, I do know the last one is No Way. So we can just do that one.
Okay. In a group of 75 people, what is the likelihood that at least 2 of them share the same birthday?
This is math. I'm in.
Well, how many people was it again, Chris?
In a group of 75 people, what is the likelihood that at least 2 of them share the same birthday?
See, I really need to get a piece of paper.
I will also lock in.
Let's see. If memory serves, it works out as something like you got to have, I think it's once you have 23 people, it's like a 50-50 shot that 2 of them will share the same birthday. So I'll say 80%.
Brittany.
I said 100%.
Jay.
So you're going to love this. I split them in the middle because I know it's like asymptotically high once you get to that point. I said 90.
Brittany's going to pick up the
Yeah.
point. It's 99%.
Thought it might be higher, but I also didn't think either of them would go that high.
Now, what's the goal of this game again?
To close out all the categories, one from each. You have closed out No Way. Mike has closed out Time Traveler. Jay has closed out World Records.
I'm having fun.
I will take nature.
We're going to nature. Nurture or nature. The choice is yours. Neptune is the 8th and furthest planet from the sun. How long is a day on Neptune to the nearest hour?
Oh, you said day, not year.
Correct.
I'll lock in.
Yeah, I'll give a number.
So I can dock it out now.
Yep.
Okay, so I think a day on Neptune is roughly like 80 Earth days. Could just be totally making that up, but assuming that I'm not, that would yield 1920 hours. So I'm going to go with 1920.
Jay.
I think a year on Neptune is about 80 Earth years, but I could be wrong on that. I remember that Jupiter spins hella fast. Like a day on Jupiter is like 14 hours. So I figured being a gas giant, I would put it at 17 hours.
Mike.
I sort of split the difference again. I pegged it around 80, but I just largely just because I wasn't necessarily thinking in terms of speed of the spin. I was just thinking in terms of its circumference.
Jay's going to pick up the points. It's a shade over 16 hours.
Ooh,
Nicely done.
love that for me. Yeah, I think Venus has the longest one. It's like 200 and something Earth days. It's actually longer than its year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
It is.
And then Mars is like 27 hours.
It's close to ours.
Yeah.
Jay, where are we going?
I didn't like what I got on time travel there, so we're going to go back.
Heading on back to time traveling. No, this is topical of current events.
Oh, could go very poorly.
The notorious Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary opened in 1934. How long was it open as an actual jail to the nearest year?
I will lock in.
I can too.
Jay.
I answered, I thought very quickly, but everybody else locked into shade before me. I want to say it closed down in like the late 60s. So back in the envelope, I put 35 years.
Brittany.
I thought it closed sometime during the 70s, so I said 40 years.
Mike.
I also thought it closed down sometime in the 70s, and I like the number 42.
Jay getting her revenge, 29 years.
Wow.
Nicely done.
It really does hurt to be this good sometimes.
Actually,
what hurts more is the realization that I'm only this good sometimes. The crippling imposter syndrome is real.
That is accurate. Sadly accurate. Jay,
our next Patreon release, Chris and I just drink a lot and talk about feelings for an hour and a half.
Oh my God.
Even quality content. That's on the Patreon Plus. That's on the PTE OnlyFans right there. You got to be committed for that.
Dude, even my therapist would be like, that's too much.
No.
We're getting this back on track, aren't we? Let's go for the money because I sure as hell don't.
Jay wants the money shot. Let's see what we can get her. In 1999, the founders of Google approached the online company Excite and offered to sell them Google for how much money?
I'll lock in.
I'll go ahead and lock in too. Oh man, I've heard the story. It is an absolute pittance. I don't even know if it's $1 million. It's not a lot, if memory serves. I'm going to say $800,000.
Brittany.
I said 1.2 million.
Jay.
Well, Brittany, I love you twice as much as you love me, which is why I said 2.4 million.
Aw.
The math works.
So I didn't think about this. I don't know what happens when we have a tie, but it was
it's $1 million.
1 million even.
Yep.
So we're going to give Brittany and Mike one more dollars and cents question to see who's going to get that point.
Or
Okay.
counterpoint, nobody gets it.
No, we're going to give a point away.
Nice try, though.
All right,
A for effort.
Brittany, Mike, here is your question. In 2008, the domain name pizza.com was auctioned off online. How much did pizza.com sell for?
I'll lock in.
I will lock in.
Brittany.
$666.69.
I love you.
That's
Don't change.
devilishly nice.
Yep. Well, Chris, very little chance of a tie on this one. I said $150,000.
Mike's going to take on the point there. $2.6 million.
Wow.
Wow.
That's more than you could get at Google.
I know. I was worried I was maybe a tad high. I didn't think it would get into the seven figures. Whew.
All right. So far, Jay has closed off world records, nature, time traveler. Brittany, you've closed off no way. Mike, you have closed off dollars and cents. And time traveler, no one has closed off. What year was that?
No one.
Someone's about to, because that's where we're going.
All right. Let's see how this one goes. Simple and straightforward. In what year was Velcro invented?
Oof.
Locked in.
Locked in.
I guess it's up to me, isn't it? I can tell you the fun story behind why Velcro was invented. It has to do with those little burry things that you pick up like as you're walking through the woods and get stuck in your clothing and in your hair, and they suck and they're terrible. And some dude's like, hey, let's do that, but clothes. Do I remember when it was? Fuck no. So I guess 1934, because why not?
Brittany.
I'm distracted by Mike's cute child.
It's adorable, isn't she?
Yeah.
And oh, there we go.
Did she bring you a stuffed animal?
You can wave. It's okay.
Yeah, you bring her over here to wave at the weird people from the internet, Mike. Hi, you are way prettier than Mike is.
With so much more hair.
I know. Some hair, therefore, much more hair. Say hi.
Hi.
Oh, you are way more adorable than my kids.
I thought you said Mike, and I was agreeing with you, and then I realized you said my kids, and I was like, oh no, I shouldn't say that.
Look, Freudian slips are the best slips, Mike.
Anyway, I thought it was like pre-20th century, so I said 1876.
Mike, what'd you go with?
I know it was somehow related to NASA, so I said 1958.
Jay, what did you have?
I had 1934.
Making Chris do math.
Chris is getting the calculator.
Mike is going to pick up the point there. 1948.
Oh. Color me shocked that Mike got the what year is it?
All right, so let's see. I'm going to share my choice with you now. No? No one?
Oh, yeah. If I could
I was gonna, like, Brittany was singing it. I was.
Yeah, I can't believe you went with that.
Let's see. We got, what do I need? Let's go nature.
We're going with nature. Let's see how this treats y'all here. The Nile is the longest river in the world. The Golden Gate Bridge is 1.7 miles long. How many Golden Gate bridges would it take to equal the length of the Nile?
You're a monster. I love you, but you're a monster.
Locked in.
Yeah, I'll lock in too.
All right, so I think the Nile is something like 730 miles long. Could be wrong on that. Actually, no, it's longer than that because the Mississippi is like 1,400. And so we'll say it's like 1,700. I'm going to lock in and say 100 Golden Gate bridges. Just anything but the metric system.
How many smoots is that, Brittany?
I don't remember how much a smoot is. I think
It's bridges all the way down, basically. A smoot is a certain dude's height, and he laid down, it was either at Harvard or Yale, across a bridge on campus, and they figured out how many smoots long the bridge was.
Side note, my ex-husband was like 6'4", So when
And
we
was
tried-
also named Smoot?
no, but when we were trying to figure out if a couch would fit in a location, he was roughly the length of the couch. So we would just have him lay down before we moved the couch to see if it would fit.
Jesus, it really is anything but the metric system with you, isn't it?
Yep.
I couldn't find my tape measure. Anyway, 100 Golden Gate Bridges, which is slightly more than the number, no, slightly less than the number of Jeff Bridges it would take.
Mike?
How can I follow that? I ballpark the Nile is maybe slightly more than 2,000, so I just ended up locking 120.
I'm sorry, we went off on diatribe there. Jay, what did you say again?
Jay hasn't.
I
I
haven't
don't
said
think she got a
anything
chance
Oh,
to say.
God, Jay.
No, but I am worried about the math skills of both Brittany and Mike after those guesses, because I think you guys are off by an entire power of 10 on your math. Like if you think it's 1,700 miles and the
I was doing it. I was
Gate
doing it
Bridge
against.
is
I was doing it
1.7
against
miles. That's like
17
1,000.
instead of 1.7.
I forgot the bridge was 1.7 miles, and I was thinking 17.
I was doing the exact same thing. I didn't shift my decimal point.
So I'm
back.
feeling really good about this one, Chris. I arbitrarily put 1, 2, 3, 4 on my sheet, so 1,234.
Well, the Nile River is 4,132 miles long.
Oh shit! Yeah. So yeah, she's
2,430 Golden Gate Bridges.
So not even close, and still by a factor of 10.
Yeah, but Jay,
So-
you already had nature, so the only thing that does is give you control of the board.
Well, yeah, but it also importantly takes something away from Brittany and Mike.
That's true.
That is true.
Yeah, sometimes the wins are just the losses others get. Let's go to what year was it?
It's called Schadenfreude.
Great song from Avenue Q.
Schadenfreude.
All
One of
right.
my favorite Muppets.
In what year was the Universal Product Code, or UPC, first used?
Locked in.
I will also lock in.
I don't like this question. Mostly because could I tell you what the first product with a UPC code is? Yes, I could. I believe it was Wrigley's gum. It was chewing gum in some form or fashion, which put me in the early 1900s. But then I'm like, no, lasers. That's how they read them. I don't even know if I'm close, but I put 1948 because of lasers.
Brittany.
I also thought about lasers, and I thought about when we might have made them commercial use, and I thought that post-war sounded pretty good, so I actually said 1947.
Mike.
If you get this, my entire ass, Shaw.
Yeah.
In your ass, it's enviable.
It's the
So
fucking $1 equivalent of this show.
I am either about to look. Well, no, I'm just about to look way dumb because I had much later. I put 1974.
1974 on the nose.
Oh shit! Are you kidding me?
Oh, goddamn.
No, I knew that once Mike said it, it was going to be right.
Good news, Mike. You already had what
I
year was.
did, but damn, I cannot believe I pulled that. I'm gonna. I
mean,
will tell you how twisted my logic is. I was like, well, 1974 was the year it finally became legal for women to have credit cards. So maybe they were reading credit cards with lasers at that time. So maybe they were also reading UPCs. That was where my logic went.
How are you so wrong that you're right on that shit?
Right?
It's so
The
fucked
original
up.
credit cards had the big stampy imprint things, and you would just send it off to a bank, and they'd be like, "Yeah, we got this."
You're 100% correct. I have no idea where that tortured logic came from, but it
I was around my college years. I was working at an Applebee's in DeKalb, Illinois, home of Northern Illinois University, and the power went out for about 3 hours one day on a Sunday, and we had to pull out the old machine for every transaction. It was a nightmare. Also, all the lights were out, and the kitchen stopped working, so also a nightmare.
You know what I hope is not a nightmare? No way.
Mike, we're about to find out. In 2005, a woman from California sued Wendy's after she found a severed finger in her chili. It turned out to be a hoax, and she was charged with attempted grand larceny. How long was her jail sentence?
I'll lock in.
I will lock in.
Doing a little quick comedy math here. So 12 months in a year. I'm looking for an answer just south of 6. So let's say 5.75 years, because I believe that's 69 months.
Brittany.
I think she got sentenced to 12 years, but probably released like after 5 for good behavior, like on parole. But I think she got sentenced to 12 years.
Mike.
Wow, I had 14 months.
Real quick, I got to text Leah before she gets to McDonald's. Hold on.
Speaking of God.
I'm like, there is no fucking way Leah's not in bed right now.
Oh, sorry. No,
I thought Leah was going to go to Wendy's, and I'm like, that is poignant.
What is it? A big nugget with a big toe in it?
Hey, don't you threaten me with the best dinner ever, Brittany.
You want a toe? I can get you a toe. I can have you toe by 3:00 this afternoon. There are ways, dude. You don't want to know.
Yes, she does.
What is it? The toe whiskey out in that bar in like the Yukon or whatever? There's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a mummified toe in a
Yeah,
bottle
it's
of whiskey, and it's like a tradition to
like a
drink.
frosted
Is that a
It's
thing?
Yeah.
Until you hit it.
Yeah, this is a real thing. I can't remember where the bar is, but I want to say it's real up north in like desolate ass Canada.
Yeah, I was thinking it was either Yukon or like Northwest.
Hold on.
That sounds about right.
While we're waiting for the Leah text and Chris to give us the answer, I have to Google toe whiskey.
While you're doing that, Brittany, you're going to get it right, or not right, but close enough. 9 years. It was the
9 years. Okay.
So I would just like to point out that
You already have
this is
no way.
a slight tangent before I pick my category.
Tangent's a different podcast.
So here's the thing. I get roasted by a lot of people, but you know who roasts me like just so efficiently and thoroughly? Jay's kids. They are like so good at just like pinpointing. Like, for
That's
example,
Oh, they know how to hurt you emotionally.
there was a thing we were talking about in the kitchen one day, and it was about like, what do you think rolling your eyes means? And demonstrate it. And I demonstrated what I thought was the correct answer. And then Quincy showed us something. And then Chris, Jay's 18-year-old, puts his hand on my shoulder and said, maybe we should let the non-autistic person answer. And I was like, I don't have a diagnosis of autism. And he goes, oh, that is news to me. I really thought you did. Like, legitimately thought I had been diagnosed.
Out of pop culture that you're on the spectrum. Holy crap.
Honestly, I think I probably am on the spectrum, but I have never been formally diagnosed as such. But it was such a specific call out. I was like, I feel seen and personally attacked. Other time that this happened was the other night where we're sitting down at dinner and I was talking about something random that I knew. And Quentin, who's like, what is he? He's almost 12?
Almost 12, yeah.
Yeah. So he just goes, yeah, I'm not surprised. And Jay goes, what do you mean? He's like, I just assume Brittany knows a lot of random stuff. And I was like, that is so accurate for just like
exclusively random stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that I have only gotten the points for the random numbers and the no way is so on track with that. And anyway, that being said, I need to like gain some ground here. So let's
hold on. I just want to, before you pick the next category, I do want to point out that I had a riff ready for this question after you revealed the answer, because my joke answer was going to be, oh, well, because there were 9 fingers, it should have been 9 years. And guess what the fuck the answer was?
Well, you should have said it, and I guess you didn't, but you know, well, we'll just take it back and see if you can do it again with time travel.
No, you should stay in no way.
I would, but I don't need it.
Brittany playing
and y'all don't need time travel, so
This
this
is-
is clearly
yeah,
an advantage me.
She's guaranteed to not lose ground on time travel, so it's hard to.
Valid. Closing out the 17s here, as they would say.
Hmm.
Going to go out possibly with a sad one here. Marilyn Monroe tragically died of a drug overdose. How old was she when she passed?
Locked in.
I'm going through the lyrics to Candle in the Wind. Give me a minute.
Yeah, I'm locked in.
Is Candle in the Wind about Marilyn Monroe?
Podcast, Brittany. Fucking podcast.
We're on
Goodbye, Norma Jean. It's the first lines.
Okay,
Her name, Marilyn Monroe, is in like the second verse.
okay, but I know the Princess Diana one. And I really only know the say you live your life like a candle in the wind. That's the only part I know. Like, if Billy Joel wanted me to know more lyrics, he should have written other, like, better things.
Podcast, comma, Brittany, because Candle in the Wind was Elton John.
Damn it, I get those two mixed up all the time.
You know so many things about so many things, and yet
Oh my
Look,
god.
all I'm saying is this little bit here, you need to clip it and release it as a stinger for why people should join the Patreon.
Absolutely.
for the upcoming eventual show, British Evasion, where we learn how Brittany didn't learn this shit.
That's actually a pretty good name. I like it.
Really
Pretty
good.
good. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm officially putting verboten in front of me on hiatus so y'all can record this.
Oh god.
I have that empowerment, right?
I mean, you do. Technically, you're our boss. But
Oh!
I mean, I don't think you have to put Frenemy on hiatus because there's like 3 other hosts. They can keep.
Look, I'll start my own podcast network, the Blackjack and Hookers.
Can I join?
That would just be this network again. So yeah,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
we're really just a blackjack away.
Brittany, what did we come up with?
Well, doesn't Mike need to say what his answer was?
Do I? I don't know. I locked in.
What the
I
fuck
got
was
it.
the question?
How old was Norma Jean when she died? Mike, what'd you come up with?
I just said she lived 37 years in a row.
Brittany.
I thought she was in her 40s, but like very young, so I said 43.
Jay.
Oh, I'm in the sweet spot in between. I said 39.
Mike's going to pick up the fictional point. She was 36 years old when she passed.
Okay.
Damn.
Mike, where are we
I wish
going?
She was young, but shit.
Hold on. I just want to point out that she is name dropped in a Billy Joel song. She is in We Didn't Start the Fire. So, Brittany, you shouldn't so much feel better, but just differently bad.
Oh, it's okay. The only words in We Didn't Start the Fire are Trouble in the Suez.
So
That's the only version I remember.
Hey, this is how clueless I am. I thought she was referencing We Didn't Start the Fire when she made that comment. I didn't even realize she was mistaking Elton
You got to
John and
record with
Billy
Brittany
Joel.
more often, Mike, because
Clearly,
boy,
Well,
you will be surprised by
that's
not
just
surprised
general-
you
that's
are.
just
I
generally-
promise to all of our listeners that Jay and I are in fact best friends if this does not prove it.
By the way, the sourdough cocktail is in the Yukon, Dawson City.
Right.
There you go. Okay.
Never
How
go.
much does it cost?
No.
I don't know. It's Canadian dollars, and I don't want to do the math.
Let's go world record next.
World records. Jay, you're the only one that has this. So, Brittany, this is a point up for grabs for you. Matthew Webb holds the record for being the first person to successfully swim the English Channel, doing so in 1845. To the closest hour, how long did it take him?
I'll lock in.
Yeah, I think I'm good too on this.
And I'll lock in for Mike as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we can come up with a number for Mike, who's off chasing the little one. Mike's number, by the way, negative 3.2 million.
And somehow he's still closest. Brittany went way too high, Jay. Brittany, this is one of those that you'll probably get right, and your pop culture knowledge will be completely the other direction. Like this is one like I've read this book. I know this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to say like when the first woman swam it, I thought she did it in like 3 hours and 42 minutes. But like that's not what you were asking. And so I think in the 1840s he was slower because he didn't know which direction to go. So I think he took closer to 5 hours.
That's bold of you. I feel like I read a thing in the last couple months about like if you throw a GPS marker on one of those people who swim the English Channel, like their path kind of looks like a sine wave because of the way the tides kind of move in and out of the English Channel, which implies that it has to be long enough for tides to matter. I thought it was pretty long. I said 41 hours.
Mike, what'd you go with?
I don't think he was here for the question.
Didn't hear the question, so I will guess.
Negative 3.12 million. You locked in already.
That's right. That sounds good.
So the correct answer to the nearest hour would be 22 hours, 21 hours and 45 minutes, what we came up with. And Brittany,
How is that right dead ass in the middle of Brittany and my dumb answers?
I think that's Brittany, right?
You said 22. She's off, I guess, 17. I was off 19. Okay, yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Hey.
Brittany, you're going to pick up your first point in world records.
And
Okay.
Mike was off by approximately negative
I do have
3.12
a
million.
question, though. When they say people swam the English Channel,
Mhm.
don't they just swim it directly across?
Well, remember the thing I said about like tides? They
Yeah,
try to,
like,
but it's actually dumb because you're going against the current if you go straight.
I'm gonna look up what the English Channel looks like.
It looks like that bit of water between England and France.
I know, but I think it runs differently than I think it
I think
does.
it'd be a lot quicker if we just took the channel.
It's got a little BBC in the bottom corner, but I think what it actually looks like changes.
Yeah, like straight shot, it's like 20
frames
something
second.
miles, but because the currents as the tides flow move you so much, it's like not 25 miles to swim.
So
It's like
I
closer
was
to
very
80.
wrong about how this channel works. So like I don't know. I thought it was like a river kind of situation where it was like really, really long but kind of narrow. So I'm like, why wouldn't they just swim across the narrow bit? And I guess they do, but like it's wider than I thought, and it's not as like directly linear. So I was like, why does it matter if it's like a sine wave? Because you should just go across it like an axis, not like
I don't think they aim to do it that way.
Well,
but you know, like the English Channel and
haven't seen
BBC
the
would say everything's bigger on the inside.
Brittany,
So-
where are we going?
Oh, right, I have to pick.
You need money.
Again, there seems to be no disadvantage for me going for time travel.
Going back to time travel.
Yeah. Gotta go back in time.
What movie's that from, Brittany?
Well, I don't know if it was specifically written for Back to the Future, but I know it was in Back to the Future.
Damn, that doesn't make the podcast. All right.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, mostly I know it because it's in the musical.
There it is. That's podcast material.
That's great.
Because the other half of British Evasion is the weird ways in which Brittany knows the shit she knows.
I have seen the movie. I have seen Back to the Future and Back to the Future 2. I haven't seen part 3.
Part 3 had the Wild West and a
I
train.
know. I just didn't have time to watch it. I watched part 1 and part 2 because there was
It's about time travel. You make the time.
Well, but there was a theme night about Back to the Future 2 in 2015 that I went to. So I made sure I watched 1 and 2 for that. I just didn't have time to watch 3 before, and I never went back.
Yeah, makes sense.
Never went back in time. Got it.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Who's
Hey,
that
Chris?
band?
Okay, it's either Hall & Oates or Huey Lewis in the News, and I don't remember which one.
It is. I'll give you a hint. It's the one that starts with an H.
Yep.
And ends in an S.
And has an and in it.
I'm going to guess Huey Lewis in the News.
Does anybody want to tell her?
Really, really sad.
I want her to have this awkward feeling of, did I not get it right? And these three people are staring at me. You got it right. I just want to give you that
I
feeling
think
of
you
awkward.
overestimate how much that would keep me up at night because I didn't really know it, so I'm not going to like feel bad if I missed it.
All right.
Touche.
Disney World opened in 1971 in Florida. How many rides were there on the opening day?
What counts as a ride?
Yeah, does all attractions count
would
or
assume
just
it's
things that like physically
rides.
move that you get on?
Rides and attractions would be my assumption.
Okay, I'll lock in.
I'll lock in.
Okay, so I think there were like the 3 mountains. So there was Space. Well, no, Space Mountain wouldn't have been open yet. I don't. Well, maybe it would have been. Okay, so Space Mountain, Thunder Mountain, the other mountain. Is there another mountain? Splash Mountain. That's a ride. But now it's Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which is very fun. I liked it a lot.
Yes, it is.
So that's 3. And I think Dumbo was there originally, plus the teacup. So that's another 2. I'm going to say 8.
Jay.
I put 15 because I don't know.
Not.
I pretty much split the difference. I figured there was about 3 per land, so I said 12.
Jay is going to pick up the point. 23.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah, that has to count like physically moving attractions because that's a lot. Like the concession stand, you have to get a ticket for it. It counts. You wait in line for 45 minutes.
Well,
Like,
there
what's
was
the
probably
difference?
the train. The train might have counted. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Look, Main Street USA apparently is an attraction.
The People Mover.
Mm-hmm. Love
Oh,
the
yes.
People Mover.
Jay, where are
It
we going?
moves people.
We are going to No Way because I think Brittany will get it right. Therefore, no harm done.
That will work.
Her logic is sound.
According to the National Institute of Mental Health, what percentage of Americans suffer from claustrophobia?
I'm going to lock in.
I will lock in.
I have no logic for this. I wrote down the number 21. If you need me to defend it, too bad, because I won't.
Brittany,
I said 9% because I think it's probably underdiagnosed. So I'm going to say 9%.
Mott,
I said 11 because the two ones look like walls closing in.
Jay suddenly is not suddenly, but is playing a really smart game because Brittany got it right and gets for it 2.5%.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Good news is you weren't that close.
The good news is I only offended 2.5% of the population just now, assuming Nim is right.
I actually think I have some level of claustrophobia, but I've never been diagnosed.
I'm still trying to figure out if anybody's going to pick up the really subtle joke I threw in there.
I missed what you said.
I said, good thing is none of us were that close.
There you go. Nice.
But
I don't really want to try time travel again because it's not working out for me. So I'm going to take a risk and go with what year is it? Because Mike will probably get it. No harm. Something away from Jay.
girl,
I'm using your own words, bitch.
I know they're the worst words to use against me.
You don't listen to yourself.
The Secret of the Old Clock was the first book published in the Nancy Drew series. What year was it published?
All right, I've locked in.
I'll walk in.
Mike.
I figured early 60s, so it was probably about right. So I said 64.
Brittany.
I felt like it was kind of classic 50s detective-ishness, so I said 1953.
Jay.
Oh, I thought this had big 1931 energy.
Jay is off by a year, 1930 on the nose.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, that
Well
series
done.
is old, and there have been a ton of books in it.
I knew it was old. I didn't realize it was that old.
All right, Jay, you were short dollars and cents and no way. Where are we going?
Well, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, 3 times, 4 times, however many times. We're going back to no way.
No
Go
way.
back. No way.
Keep away from Mott. Who also needs this, so it's like the opposite of keep away from Mott.
True.
Many people claim that there are more rats in New York City than there are people. And there are 8.5 million people in the city. In 2014, a researcher from Columbia University attempted to find out if this is true. How many rats did he determine lived in New York City?
Locked in.
Yikes. I will walk in.
So what you don't know about me is that I actually got my doctorate in ratology.
Naturally.
It took a while to get that degree because I was for a long time in college going round and round.
Oh, wow. I've got a music pun locked up because what
Dad
comes around
jokes
goes
for
around.
days around here. I have no goddamn idea. I said 4.75 million, proving the theory that no, there aren't as many rats. Also, how do you count them? There's Pizza Rat and there's Splinter, and the only ones in New York I can think of.
Brittany?
I think there are more rats than people in New York City. And I know from like doing research during college that there are ways to track. It's like a multi-year project more than likely. But I think there are about 13.1 million rats.
Can I amend my answer real quick? Because I just realized I forgot a rat. Rizzo from the Muppets Take Manhattan. So 3 rats.
Well, Rizzo was more just living there temporarily, though.
Yeah.
Mike.
And not at the time of study.
He asked Brooke Shields if she believed in interspecies dating. I love that movie. I hate that it's not on Disney Plus. I said 12 million, so I was a little less than Brittany. But I also thought it was true.
Brittany is going to pick it up. It is around roughly 2 million rats is what they found.
2 million? Then Jay's going to pick it up.
Yeah. Brittany said 13.1 million.
Jay said 4.75 million.
Oh, God. I wrote down 14.75 million.
Now, I'm not famous in the trivia world for math, but...
And even if she had said 14.75, then I would have been winning.
There's no way in which you look good on this one, Ligori.
We've been torturing him for almost an
However,
hour.
I will take the point.
No, Jay's getting the point because Jay only has one left to close out.
Yes, she does.
Jay, I'm going to assume you want to go to dollars and cents.
Yeah, I'm going to put my money where your mouth is.
Don't you have to pay extra for that?
Yes.
That's for other things.
Fortunately, she's got 15 cents, as we established earlier.
Well, a nickel for every rat in Manhattan.
That's right.
All right. In 2009, Avatar surpassed Titanic to become the highest grossing film of all time. Worldwide box office receipts were $2.8 billion. What were the box office receipts for Avatar in Vietnam?
What the fuck?
Do
Really?
we have to give it in dong?
What the?
You're getting it in dong whether or not you like it, Chris.
What? Holy
I own a look.
in U.S. dollars.
I know that this is going to be a problem for some of our listeners, but I need you to understand so very badly how much I have a dong. Trivia team of mine about 8 years ago traveled to Vietnam, came back with a souvenir dong for me. It was worth a couple of cents.
That's not what I thought you meant.
Oh, this is going on the Patreon feed. Vietnamese Avatar is what we're talking about, right?
How much did you say it made worldwide?
I don't even know.
2.8 billion, I think, something like that.
$2.8 billion.
Billion dollars.
I will lock in.
Brittany, what's that reference from?
Austin Powers?
Hey.
Hey, there you go.
I haven't seen that one though.
There you go.
So how do you know it?
I saw a clip. I just
Oh,
haven't
okay.
seen the actual full film.
Look, we are soft launching the podcast right now on this episode.
This is actually the fourth episode right here.
Look,
Chris,
that's
I
how you
will
got
go
to
ahead and
spill
lock
it, Brew. That's how you're about to get British evasion.
Who's locked
I'll
it
go
up? Mike, I apologize. I wasn't paying attention. I was too busy.
I'm in.
All right. Mike.
So I figured, I think it made over 1 billion just in the United States, and I figured probably another half of the remaining 1.8 was China alone. So I figured, okay, there's about 900 million to split among all the remaining countries. So I said Vietnam, let's call it 75 million.
Brittany.
I really undershot this, I think, but I figured, maybe they didn't quite make $1 million there, so I said about $763,000.
Jay.
So the problem is with those guesses that I have the widest span to work from, anywhere from 2.8 billion to my guess of 90 million. That said, I think I'm the highest and farthest on this one.
You are. Brittany, you're going to pick up the points. It was about $1.4 million.
Wow.
I have overestimated the Vietnamese cinematic audience.
Same.
Their dongs are powerful.
I'm telling you, if I had a nickel for every time I've heard that today, 4 nickels.
Brittany, where are we going?
I just figured out why Chris only puts me on PTE every 2 years.
That's right.
Let's go to
Live.
Time Traveler.
Keep in mind, we've been trying to get you up against Mike here for like the better part of 3 months now.
Well, find the random 15 minutes where I don't have shit to do.
I did. That's why we're recording tonight, and we're at an hour.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want a boring episode or a short episode?
Neither. I will take as much Jay.
Wait, I think those are the same thing.
Yeah, because you're getting a long, entertaining one, Chris.
Yeah, right.
I can't believe this is going to be put on the Patreon.
All right.
Yeah, this is subscriber gold right here. You got to put this free on the Patreon so that people know the shit behind the paywall.
He's got a point.
This is the peep toe of recordings, Chris.
Peeps don't have toes. They're kind of flat on the bottom.
What the fuck?
Time Traveler.
I already have the card. I can't stop laughing to read it. All right.
We are all sober.
Somewhat.
Oh, you'll know when the rum hits for me. Don't worry.
According to archaeologists, it took 10 to 20 years to build the Great Pyramids of Giza. They were completed over 4,000 years ago. It is the second largest pyramid ever built. How many blocks of stone were used? Just on the one Great Pyramid of Giza, not the other two. The main.
Okay.
All right, I'll YOLO a guess in.
Sure, I'll throw something random out there.
I know what number I want to use. I just don't know how to give it to you.
Audibly is fine.
No, I just but I don't want to make you do math, so I'm doing the math for you.
Just put it in like scientific notation or something.
Okay, so
You have the logarithm? What the hell?
I think it's like 100 factorial times 4.
Wow. Okay.
Well,
That's a
wait, do
very-
that
that's a
math.
Very large number. Like that is more. That
It's
is like more than the
factorial, but
atoms in
with
the known
addition
universe.
instead of multiplication. Okay, so ignore me.
So 100 factorial times 4, which is what you would get if you, for each atom in the universe, shuffled a deck of cards a trillion times. And for each time you did that, you dropped one piece of sand out of the Sahara Desert and continue until it's up. Big numbers go hard, all right?
So I'm gonna addend my thoughts while I give my answer, because I'm not gonna go with 100 factorial, because I realized you don't multiply pyramidal numbers, you add them together. So I'm gonna say 20,000.
Mike,
I said 8,400 apropos of nothing.
Jay.
I feel either really confident or really the fuck off, because I said 2.4 million.
Jay, it's 2.3 million.
Holy shit. Wow.
That is so impressive and means nothing for you.
That's why it took a ton of people a decade to make it.
Okay, but it was aliens.
No, I saw Prince of Egypt. I know who it was.
Yeah, but that wasn't the great one. That was just the other ones.
Oh, yeah, like the mid-pyramid. All right.
Dan?
Your logic makes way more sense. I was just like, I don't know how many. I guesstimated how many blocks there were at the base and worked from there.
All right.
They also have the ones on the inside. Yeah.
Oh shit!
Would you believe? Yeah. Would you believe I'm going to go back to the money?
Money, 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 money.
It's all about the money, money, money. You don't need your money. I once wrote an art trio of questions about Edward Manet, the death of Marat, and then about the Jessie J song Price Tag, where the lyrics were, it's not about the Monet, Monet, Monet.
Hey, Brittany, who did Moni Moni?
Tony?
I'll accept that because that's a hilarious fucking response off the dome. Tommy James originally, and it was number one hit for Billy Idol. Yeah.
Yep.
Which, if you haven't heard this fact, is cool as hell. Tommy James and the Shondells had back-to-back covers hit number one on the Hot 100 in the 80s, because there was also, I think We're Alone Now by Timpani.
Yeah.
And Weird Al covered both of them on his Even Worse album. Or parodied
shit, he did, yeah.
His Worse album. Yep. Anyway.
Okay, my head is spinning. Here is your question. In 1867, the United States purchased Alaska from Russia. How much did Alaska cost in U.S. dollars?
I'm locked in.
I will lock in.
Okay, so what year did you say they bought it?
1867.
1867. Okay. So you could buy a house for $10 back then.
What, a house in that economy?
Maybe $125 if you're buying a mansion. So I'm going to say Alaska cost $45,000.
Jay.
I'm either going to know this dead to rights or I'm going to look really stupid. It was Seward's Folly. I believe the check was signed by a guy named Edward de Steckel, because that name has just popped into mind for random ass reasons. I will look this up after the fact. But I feel like it was 3.7 million.
Mike.
Honestly, 2.4 million worked for Jay in the last question, so I said 2.4 million in this question.
The answer I have here is 7.2 million. I'm double checking it right now.
No, you know what? That does sound right now that you mentioned it. Yeah, that is dead on 7.2 million.
45,000.
7.2 million is what we're looking for.
So Jay wins.
So Jay, you are the winner tonight. Nicely done, my friend.
Thank you. Now to look up Edward de Steckel and prove I know things about things.
If we had each guessed 2.4 million, then the three of us combined would have been correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that is.
Yeah, it was. He was the ambassador of the Russian Empire to the U.S. back in 1867. Edward, Eduard de Stockel. It's like Stoe. CKL. I wrote a question about it once.
That's impressive. I'm not going to lie.
It's not that impressive. I was still off by a factor of 2.
Jeez.
I said 45,000.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to draw attention to that because I didn't want you to feel bad.
Oh, I don't feel bad. Those
Since
are
when?
$45,857.
Yeah, and that's the only reason British Evasion is going to work as a show, because you have no shame.
I do have shame about some things, just not this.
Fair enough.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely hope you had as much fun tonight we had bringing that to you. Y'all are a laugh a minute, and you're also just damn good people. That's what I appreciate about you. But
That's what you appreciates about me?
thank you. I knew
That
someone would
your
get
entire ass for some.
somebody would get me.
Oh gosh.
I gotta
Since
go.
Chris isn't going to do the sign out and signing off for the PTE network, I've been now.
Just besties being besties.
Mhm. Homies helping homies.
I gotta go see about my dicks. Y'all have yourselves a great night.
Bye-bye.
There's a dong reference there, but I don't not coming with it right now.
Only in Vietnam.